This is going to be my reaction to last weekend's fights between Usyk and Dubois, the rematch, and Pacquiao versus Barrios. Now, the fights this weekend pretty much went how I expected. The Usyk fight, I'll start with the Usyk fight. That fight pretty much went how I expected. I expected Usyk to dominate. You know, a lot of people are saying after the fight that Usyk is now one of the best heavyweights ever. But honestly, before the fight, I already had Usyk up there with the greatest. He's definitely, in my opinion, a top 10 heavyweight of all time. He's close to the top 5 of all time. And I don't think there's too many fighters from the past that could have beat him. And I definitely expected him to stop Dubois, but I didn't think that it would be that early. You know, one thing that I did say is that after the Fury fight, Usyk became a better fighter. He became a more aggressive fighter. And I honestly think that at heavyweight, and I thought this in the Fury rematch, that he's a proper puncher at heavyweight. You know, his punch placement is so good. So Dubois, he was really getting hit flush at will. You know, Usyk is a complete fighter. In the first round, he was hitting Dubois with jabs, and they were some of the hardest jabs you're going to see. He definitely dominated him. I think that Dubois is the type of guy, in front of a stationary target, he is very dangerous. Anthony Joshua is a very good heavyweight, but he's a stationary target. I think that Usyk's ability is just so much higher than anyone else in boxing right now. You know, I don't think that anyone in boxing right now can give him a challenge in the heavyweight division. I heard that he has one more fight left, but I don't really know who he's going to fight. I think that his heavyweight legacy is already sealed as one of the best. I definitely don't see another fighter beating him. You know, Usyk's not the type of guy to come into a fight half-assed. He's not going to come into a fight out of shape. He's definitely a champion outside the ring, the same as inside the ring. And that means that he obviously has a lot of discipline to achieve what he's achieved. A guy like Tyson Fury, who has all the talent in the world at heavyweight, I don't know. He doesn't have the discipline that Usyk has. And he doesn't really have the skill set either, in my opinion. Usyk's a harder puncher. I think that right now, Fury probably is the best challenge for him, but I thought Usyk beat him clear the first 2 times, so I really don't know who he's going to fight next. And like I said, the knockout really didn't surprise me at all, because I knew that Usyk, he's a lot stronger than the guy that fought Tszyu, than the guy that fought Anthony Joshua. I think that he probably would stop Joshua too if he fought him for the 3rd time. The Fury fights definitely made him a better fighter. And right now, even though he's saying, or his team is saying, that he has like 1 or 2 fights left, I think right now he's at his absolute peak at 38 years old, which is crazy. At the end of his career, people are going to rate him among the heavyweight legends of the past. Where I would put him, there's been a lot of good fighters in history. Right now, the heavyweight division, it's just Usyk. It's just Usyk, really. I think there's a lot of good boxer punchers in history that could have beat him. Lennox Lewis. I think a young Ali would probably be Usyk's toughest test, because he had the footwork and no one could match Ali's mindset, in my opinion. So I think that would probably be his hardest test. Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield would have been a great fight, but you have to rate him with the heavyweights of today. He's definitely the king of this generation. I thought he was the best fighter in the world before the fight, in my prediction, and that hasn't changed at all. He just dominated Dubois. Dubois is one of the top heavyweights of today, and he's in his prime. He's young, strong guy with a good chin, and he got absolutely demolished. And he can definitely, I think he can come back after Usyk retires, and he's young enough, he can beat someone for the title. But I don't really know who Usyk's going to fight next. Obviously, I'm looking forward to it, because watching greatness is always something to watch. Now, the Pacquiao fight against Barrios, I didn't make a prediction for that fight, but I had money on Pacquiao because he was a heavy outsider. So of course, I was very disappointed in the decision. I thought that Pacquiao won it by a few rounds. I thought the fight would go just like that, actually, because Pacquiao is the type of guy where he has a lot of experience, so he knows how to train for big fights. And Barrios is the type of guy where footwork, he doesn't really have, he's pretty flat-footed in the ring. He has good skills, but he doesn't really have power. He has a good jab, good straight right hand, but Barrios is not really a dangerous welterweight. If Pacquiao was to fight Jaron Ennis or someone like that, another welterweight, I'd probably think he would lose, but I thought that he would beat Barrios. So I did place a wager on Pacquiao because he was a heavy outsider. He was like more than 3-1. I definitely think it was a robbery. I definitely think Pacquiao should have won. I think that he was robbed of the chance of making history, but you can't really take away anything from Pacquiao's legacy. You know, he's cemented. He's definitely, in my opinion, top 10 pound for pound greatest of all time. And he's definitely an inspiration at 46 years old to be moving like he's moving. It's obvious that he keeps in shape. He's a gym rat and he doesn't abuse his body with alcohol or smoking or anything like that. Yeah, that's very disappointing. Very disappointing to see that. I thought that Pacquiao deserved the win. Barrios didn't really do much apart from, a few body shots, a few jabs. Pacquiao, I think, had a better footwork. He landed the right hook a lot in that fight. And the combinations at his age, I mean, you're not going to see someone in their mid-40s throwing combinations like that again. I think Pacquiao is definitely a one of one. There was one more fight on the weekend that I bet on. So I guess the only one that I got wrong was the Pacquiao fight. Sebastian Fundora versus Tszyu. Fundora was the underdog in that fight. He was more than 2-1. So I don't know what the bookies were doing in that fight, but I definitely thought Tszyu would lose, especially since he got knocked out pretty easy a few fights ago. And Fundora really hasn't lost, in a while. Fundora got stopped against a guy a while back, but that was against a puncher, and it was probably one of the best timed shots I've ever seen. Tszyu really doesn't have the power like that, and I don't think that he's big and strong enough to hurt Fundora. I do think if Fundora steps up to some of the elite guys, I think if he fights a guy like Jaron Ennis, I think Jaron Ennis will beat him easy. But he's definitely, if you're not an elite guy, if you're not an elite fighter, I think a 6'6" guy in Fundora, which by the way, he's the tallest champion in boxing at junior middleweight. Usyk is 6'3" as a heavyweight, and this guy's a junior middleweight at 6'6", and he can fight. He has his flaws too. He's tall, but he's not the strongest fighter. He does not have the best defense. And the fact that he's been knocked out before, I think a real elite puncher would get him out of there. Tszyu, I like him. He's an Australian, but I don't think that he's an elite fighter. He definitely has an elite champion's heart because he was getting destroyed, especially in the first Fundora fight with the cut, fighting through that. And he was throwing haymakers the whole fight. But I think that his corner made the right decision in stopping it because he was getting beat up bad. But yeah, that was a good week of boxing. Probably one of the best weeks of boxing in a while. I'm definitely looking forward to the next big fights of the year. But that's my reaction to last weekend's fights.